Hey everybody, welcome back to Summit on this very important solemnity, the solemnity of Christ the King. Jesus Christ, the King of the universe. We've had lots of different kings in the world, right? King James, King Arthur, King Kong, right? Elvis, right? Michael Jackson, LeBron James, right? A lot of people go by the name King, right? But truthfully, at the end of the day, there's really only one king. Every other king with a crown, those empires have folded and died off, right? Other times the word king is a ceremonial title. And even if you're the king of rock, like Elvis, or pop, like Michael Jackson, or of basketball, like LeBron James, the title of king, those kingdoms fade and they pass, right? But there's one kingdom that never fades, it never passes. There's one crown that never tarnishes, never rusts, never grows old, never gets overthrown. That's the kingship of Jesus Christ. Now, what's hard about this is that Jesus was not the typical king. You know, back in the Old Testament, they wanted Jesus to be that kind of king. They wanted King David to be that kind of king. And they were hoping that when the Messiah came, that he would be a king who would instill fear in all the other kingdoms. He'd be a king that would pounce on and trounce on other kingdoms and establish his dominion, establish his kingdom on earth that nobody could overthrow. And Jesus came as a different kind of king. Not on a throne made of marble, but a throne made of mercy. He came not on a throne of gold, but in a splintered manger. He wore a crown not of gold, but of thorns. He's a very different kind of king. And in the readings this week, we're going to see this play out. What's the first reading talking about? Shepherds. Like, what does a shepherd have to do with a king, right? If you remember, when Jesus comes in the manger, the shepherds, right, they come, and we're going to hear the story in a few weeks, Christmas time. The shepherds are going to come and they're going to worship him. Shepherds, we have to understand, while it was a noble profession, even King David was a shepherd. He started as a shepherd, right? While it was a noble profession, Moses was a shepherd. It wasn't like a VIP profession. It wasn't like, oh, we're having a party. Who should we invite? Let's invite the shepherds, because those guys, they smelled like sheep, okay? A lot of them, they got that job because they couldn't do anything else. Like, shepherds were not very well respected by a lot of different people. It was a noble profession, but usually shepherds were they're at the end of the guest list, not the beginning, right? So that's so cool that God invites the shepherds to the angels to come worship the baby Jesus. But we hear about the shepherds and talking about God saying, I'm going to scatter my sheep, and I want you to look after and tend my sheep, okay, when they're scattered. Like, go get them. Like, this is the sign of authority, of power, of goodness, of caring for others. We're going to hear in the gospel reading about Christ coming in his judgment, right, as the king coming on a cloud. What's he going to do? He's going to operate like a shepherd. I'm going to separate the sheep from the goats, right? Why the shepherd analogy? Because shepherds are humble and shepherds are necessary. And see, we as the sheep belong to God. That's what the second reading is talking about. We belong to Christ. Like, we're God's. We always think, oh, God's our Father. No, we're his children. We belong to God. If it wasn't for God, you wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be watching this. We've been talking about this. Like, we belong to God. Oftentimes we kind of act as though, no, do my own thing. I'm the sheep, I'm going to kind of go do my own thing. That's why the sheep goes running. What's the shepherd got to do? Go rescue the thing again. How many times does God have to come rescue you and come rescue me? Because we're prideful, we're selfish, we're short-sighted, we're stupid. We just kind of go do our own thing. And God has to keep coming and pulling us back. Calling our name, grabbing us, rescuing us when necessary, and pulling us back into the flock. Why? Because he loves us. Because he doesn't want us to suffer ruin. Because he wants us to live with him forever. The fact is, we have a king whose throne room is not inaccessible. You're not like rolling up to a castle with big gates and big guards and they're saying, you're a nobody, okay? King doesn't have time for you. He's in there kinging, okay? He's got king stuff to do. We roll up to a castle and the drawbridge comes down and the gates open and you walk right inside. And the king says, hey, and he calls you by name. He knows you and you know him because you matter. And he pulls you close like a shepherd does a sheep. See, we have a king who's not inaccessible in some castle somewhere far away. We have a king who's accessible on every single altar and in every single tabernacle, in every single language, on every single continent in the world. A God, a king, who comes to you and says, be mine. Comes to you and says, I want an audience with you. You're not seeking an audience with the king, although we get one every time we go to mass or adoration, or you walk into a chapel or a church. But God says, I want to have an audience with you. In fact, I don't just want to dwell before you where you just bow and worship me, although we do. I want to dwell inside of you. You know what that makes you? Royalty. Because you're God's son, you're God's daughter, you're the king's son or daughter. You are a prince or a princess. You are royalty. I am royalty by virtue of our baptism. Tell the earth, like, take that and smoke it, okay? You're royalty. Don't forget it. Christ is king.